Teams that are good, like the Denver Broncos, who we're about to talk about, where it's like, oh, wait, but we don't want to go 2-3. We're a 3-2 football team, and we think we're every bit as worthy of playing on the field with the Super Bowl champ and undefeated Philadelphia Eagles.
And that's what the Denver Broncos did, even though they were down 17-3.
Yeah.
They left the window open,
Yep.
and the Broncos flew right through it, and they beat the Eagles 21-17. Another game where you've got like two different Eagles teams.
Right.
You've got one team that knows how to play football as well as anyone, and then you got the others who can't even lace up their shoes.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
No, it is. Well, I think, from the Eagles' perspective, again, I think this is the same story that we're talking about a little bit. It is the inability to kind of readjust on the fly in a football game. You heard me and Devin McCourty on the show a little last night at halftime. Even during the first half of the game, we were trying to watch some film a little bit of what the Eagles didn't do on the offensive side of the ball, or more importantly, what the Broncos did on the defensive side of the ball to change things up to where the Eagles' offense was inept after going up 17-3. That's where the game changed. And we saw that the Denver Broncos still crowded the line of scrimmage, but instead of playing so aggressive, which has been a little bit of a problem for them, they need to check their meatheadedness at the door a little bit at times. Like, I know you're awesome, but you don't have to smush the offense for -5 yards every play, because then sometimes you're going to let up 50 yards. And that's what happened in the first half. Crowding the line of scrimmage, playing man-to-man, and to me, that is like plays right into the hand of the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, okay, we'll block it up, and now the quarterback doesn't have to read anything, and A.J. Brown and the offense doesn't have to deliver anything. It's just beat your guy. And that's what they did in the first half. But in the second half, things changed, and Denver went, wait, we're going to stop the run. Oh, no, we're going to drop out into zone. And that does two things. One, for a pretty simple offense schematically, right? Now, okay, yeah, there's not as many holes or places to throw the ball. The other thing it does is it allows now Jalen Hurts is sitting in the pocket reading the coverage, and it lets the Broncos' really awesome front four have time to operate and get to the quarterback instead of a quarterback who goes, wait, it's blitz, it's man, let me just throw it up, and you never get there. And to me, that was the biggest moment of the game. When they changed their approach on the defensive side of the ball, that's when they started to control it. The offense got hot. And, here we are again talking about a half of football going, where did the Eagles go? How did this happen? And it's something they're going to have to try to fix and figure out here.
Well, I said this last night when we did our little Football Night in America pod.
Right.
I continue to be fascinated by the dynamics of the Eagles organization that they try to keep under wraps and what they do to try to keep a simmering pot from exploding.
Because we know there's some stuff there.
Right, and we know it from last week, because even though A.J. Brown, at the end of the day, when he spoke to reporters last Wednesday, it was this clunky kind of, I apologize for the tweet, but it doesn't mean what you think it means, and I'm frustrated I'm not getting the football. They seem to be determined to find a way to force the passing game. So when you're up 17-3,
right?
And I need to go back and watch the game from that point forward, because we're watching all of them at once.
Right.
But isn't that when you morph into Saquon Barkley all day long? The guy that rushed for 2,000 yards last year?
Right. That's the deeper conversation. And
how do you blow a 14-point lead when you have Saquon Barkley?
Right. This is with that team and that offensive line. And that's where we tried to break this down in our quick little segment at halftime last night, because and this is where Phillies needs to change their approach a little bit. Philly, and most modern-day offenses are like this. Yeah, when you outnumber the run and put a bunch of people at the line of scrimmage, teams check, or the offensive coordinator just calls plays for that, and they throw the ball. And I think that's what Denver got them with a little bit yesterday. The play we showed at halftime last night, and there was a number of plays like that in the second half, where there was basically 9 guys at the line of scrimmage. So you see that, and you go, man, we're outnumbered in the run. We can't block everybody. What do we do here? And you check to your pass, or the offensive coordinator calls the pass. But then it's set hut, and all of a sudden everybody drops out. Maybe one guy blitzes, but it still ends up being a 4-man rush, and there's people everywhere. And now you've checked to that pass because you're like, wait, they were all at the line of scrimmage. And what the bottom line is, what I'm getting to is Philadelphia needs to be a little more stubborn with the run, to your point, right? Like Emmitt Smith saw 8 people or more people in the box to stop the run game.
And they still ran.
And we've lost that with the RPOs and the spread offense now. And the really good teams, the Detroit Lions, who are the best offense in the game, right? Even the Buffalo Bills, Shanahan and the 49ers, they run the ball sometimes and they go, we're running the ball no matter what. We're not checking out of it. We know how to block this play against no matter what the defense is. And that, to me, is where Philly, and to your point of why they wouldn't give the ball to Saquon Barkley, they need to have more of that in their offense. And that is what's allowing teams to come back on them a little bit.
It speaks to this deeper issue of dysfunction that they have done a great job of allowing to become public and thereby making it worse.
Right.
If you can convince people nothing to see here, then we don't keep poking, because the more that the outside pokes, the more that the situation collapses. They've done an excellent job of hiding whatever it is that's going on, and it's clearly at its core, to me as an outsider, between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown.
I don't think there's any doubt.
I don't know if you saw what I wrote last week, because I said some nice things about you, even though I didn't mean them.
Oh,
but
I missed this.
Thanks for reading
Wow,
PFT.
thank you.
But when you ask, think of how close they were.
Right.
A.J. Brown comes to Philly, and what was the first story? Oh, Jalen Hurts is the godfather of his child.
They're best friends.
This is perfect.
Right.
This just lines up perfectly for the Eagles.
Right.
Now, here we are multiple years later, and they asked Jalen Hurts at the press conference last week, what's your relationship with A.J.? It's good. And after he says it, his lips curl down and his jaw clenches. It's good. Yeah.
And where'd you give me credit? What did you say?
Well, because I said, and this is paraphrasing, but I said, and I wrote this in the story, like if somebody asks me, what's your relationship with Chris? I'm not going to say, that's good. I'm going to say, I love Chris. He's like a brother to me. We work well together. We fight sometimes, but we always get right through it. And we have fun together, and it's great, and it's awesome. We've been doing it 8 years, and it feels like we've been doing it 8 days. And it's a lot of, some of it's bullshit, but you don't respond like that to someone you like.
Right.
That's the thing you say when you don't want to make a bad situation worse, because when you watch Jalen Hurts, it's like, what would he really like to say about A.J. Brown? So I feel like the reaction to that was, we got to get the ball to A.J. Brown, and we got to get the ball to Devontae Smith. And I think they just completely lost sight of what the goal should be. When you have that's what's weird about it. They're playing these games with schemes, and they're taking the bait that the Broncos gave them, when they should just say, we got the best offensive line in football. We're going to line up and kick your ass. Now, let's talk about the last play of the game. 29-yard line. That's not Hail Mary territory. So
you could call a play and just expect your quarterback to really buy a little time and throw a laser somewhere.
You could throw a laser to A.J. Brown at the 10, and he could just bull in a China shot his way into the end zone.
I was wondering why. I was wondering what they would do in that moment.
That's not. Remember when they made pass interference subject to replay review? There was going to be this carve out for Hail Marys. Good luck defining what a Hail Mary is. Well, anything beyond the 40 or whatever. The 29 is not Hail Mary zone.
No, I agree. I would have ran a play where you go, you literally have a play, right? Like, let's take a shot at the end zone, where it might have been, the 2 or 3 receivers on this side. It's a post, it's another post, and somebody wheels up the sideline on the backside. Somebody just goes down the left sideline. And now you have a little space on the field to where if Jalen Hurts buys some time, all of a sudden, oh, no, he gets out of the pocket, and now everybody's everywhere, right? And that moment, to what you're explaining from the 29-yard line, you can find some windows sometimes with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts who can throw the ball down the field a little bit and go, damn, we didn't have to throw a Hail Mary. Here was a space, and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith were there. Instead, they just put everybody in one area, and, of course, then it becomes a crapshoot, to your point.
Why do you put both those guys in the same spot?
I don't. They decided just to do the Hail Mary.
It was like one was defending the other.
I know. A.J. Brown basically was tackling Devontae Smith.
It was just a weird moment, and it was a microcosm, I think, of the dysfunction with the Eagles' offense.
Right.
You got one play, you can win the game, and that's your play. And look, it's always difficult to criticize the team that just won the Super Bowl, and we give them a certain amount of deference. But if a bad team did that yesterday, if that was their way of handling a Hail Mary, a 29-yard gap to the end zone as a Hail Mary, with that being the outcome, we'd be saying, man, that coach is done.
No,
so they need to be criticized for that. And there's so many things that went wrong for the Eagles yesterday. We're going to lose sight of this, and this. But that was a they still had a chance. After everything that happened, they still had a chance to win the game. And that's the play they come up with. That's very disappointing.
It is disappointing. The way they've played the whole year has been disappointing for the most part. They've had a quarter and a half where we go, ooh, that's good. in every game. But then the majority of the game is like, come on, they're better than that. And I think that's where I'm underwhelmed because I know the potential of their team and what they're capable of. But saying all that, the Denver Broncos are the real deal. The Denver Broncos are a team that you could be sitting here and going, they could be 5-0. And they're sitting here 3-2 with a win like that against Philadelphia on the road. And they got the Jets, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Raiders are their next 5 games. And I have no problem saying that I think they are better than all of those teams.
Yeah, you're not going to
win the game. Well, I know. So you got to win the game on the field. I know that, but I think we're all, yes, exactly right. So they've put themselves in a spot here to where they can go on a run and really establish themselves as, one of the elite teams in the upper echelons of the AFC.
After they lost to the Chargers and fell to 1-2.
Right.
Here's what Sean Payton said, because they went to Indy, lost to the Colts, went to L.A., lost to the Chargers. We're playing the schedule that we got. Obviously, the last 2 weeks, we played some pretty good football teams. We think we're one of those teams. We've lost 2 games in a row, 2 close games with really last-second field goals. It's disappointing, but we have to learn why were these games this close towards the end? How do we put ourselves in position to get better? There's a stretch where you begin to win games and you play better. That's what's due for this team. That's what has to happen for this team. Right. That's what has to be on our horizon, and it is.
There it is.
And yesterday was the most obvious example of it. And now they're going to be favored in all these games, and they're going to have to play as the top dog because this is part of the correction Sunday when the team that was on top loses, somebody else emerges. So it was a great weekend for the Broncos. The Chargers lost. The Chiefs could still lose. The Raiders lost badly. The Broncos could be feeling pretty good as they get ready to play the Jets in London on Sunday. So it's just things change so quickly.
Play the Jets in London, and then they play the Giants in Denver the next week. It was just kind of crazy, right?
They don't have the bye right after.
No, they're not doing no
some
bye.
Teams, they're experimenting with that more and more because as we play more and more of these international games, you can't guarantee a team a bye after every one. So some teams don't want the bye, and they won't have the bye, and they'll get to see the Giants. And the Giants will be coming off a little extra rest, too. That's one of those weird quirks I don't like. Extra rest for the Giants, and the Broncos coming all the way back from London. Here's what they killed the. Let's play the shot on the Eagles' offensive struggles, just to put a final bow on that before we move on. Here they are.
Certain things don't get you until they get you, and so we got to go back and really learn from this, take ownership for the things that we can control, look into our process and our system and see what needs to be reset and what doesn't need to be reset.
The inconsistency showed up again. So yeah, it's frustrating because most of the things were self-inflicted, and we beat ourselves, especially in the second half. So
far more importantly than anything substantive, I don't think we've ever seen Bill Belichick in a hat like the one Jalen Hurts was wearing, unfortunately.
He's another one that's got some style, Jalen Hurts.
He would look like Chef Boyardee, I think, if Bill Belichick put that hat on.
He's definitely he's always got a cool outfit on, that's for sure.
It just subdued, and Saquon Barkley talked about, his lack of touches when you would be expecting to pound a rock with him.
No doubt.
I don't really know what you want. If I touch the ball too much sometimes, we're not throwing enough. If we throw it too much and I only have 9 touches, I'm not in the business of what are we doing enough. I'm in the business of winning football games. We didn't win the football game. With 9 touches, we had the opportunity to win the football game. Still, we weren't detailed enough, too many mistakes, too many penalties. And that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
They had chances to win.
Yes.
And they made too many mistakes. And then with the game on the line, and you got to wonder, like in the locker room, they got to be like that what the hell did we do at the 29-yard line? What was that?
Right. No, I mean, I think they're going to think that about a lot of plays in the second half. They are. I mean, again, they got to fix this problem of these lulls they have in every game and figuring out, like we talked about to start the segment here, of how to adjust on the fly a little bit. When the team changes and goes, wait, plan A, the Eagles are beating us, we got to go to plan B. And the Eagles, it takes them 2-3 quarters sometimes to go, wait, they went to plan B. Hold on, we gotta do another thing here on the offensive defensive side of the ball. They're a little slow to do that.
All right. So, bottom line, no unbeaten teams left. Any remaining members of the 1972 Dolphins? We have Zonka.
He's popping.
Bob Greasy. Bob Greasy
yep.
with his glasses that he wore while he was playing, which was one of the great looks of all time. earliest point in the season that the last undefeated team lost since 2014.
Wow.
So everyone has a loss. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.